Hey, this is Todd from ROXY BLUE, and you're watching CMS TV. Crank it up.
It is your Classic Metal Show right here on the ClassicMetalShow.com. That is brand new stuff. The band, of course, ROXY BLUE. That was the Silver Lining from their new release, which is simply called ROXY BLUE. And on the line right now and here in the video to give us the story and maybe be the silver lining in our very long wait for some ROXY BLUE, it is vocalist Todd Poole. Todd, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, man. How you doing?
I am awesome, man. First and foremost, dude, excellent record. It is it's very refreshing to get just a straight up rock record that, you know, doesn't really pull any punches and, you know, doesn't feel old, but at the same time keeps that classic sound, man. So it's a very cool record. Cool,
man. Thank you, man. You know, that was important to us that we did a record that wasn't an extension of Want Some.
Sure.
Of course, it's been 27 years, so, you know, there's a lot of scars that happened in 27 years and you got to pull out. So I think if I personally wrote a record that was an extension of Want Some, I don't feel like it would have been honest for the fans or myself or, you know, the guys in the band. And so when Frontiers approached us about doing a record, I mean, we all were really excited. So I got right to writing immediately. And, so yeah, man, it's a, you know, as you know, it's a lot different than, the 1992 Want Some record. And, but I feel like it's a good, honest record. And I feel, it's, you know, it does sound totally different, but there's a little bit of touch the old stuff, and especially in some of the solos and stuff. But yeah, man, we had a lot of fun recording it. And of course, you know, in 27 years, you got a lot more subject matter to write about than sex, drugs, and rock and roll. So
exactly. Well, and the thing too is if you put out a record today that sounded like Want Some, then people would automatically write it off as just you know, a cash-in type thing.
Well, exactly. Like that's the one thing with us. It was important that we didn't come across as just let's do a one-off and be done with it. We're looking to move on and phase 2 of our career here. And you know, Frontiers has given us a canvas to do that. And you know, these days it's really about live. You know, you make a record. We just did a show with Warrant this past weekend in Chattanooga. And the few shows that we've done so far, the one thing that I really, really love to see is the smiling faces, man. You know, everybody's out there and they're happy to be back in that zone. You know, a lot of them never left that era. As far as, you know, that was a fun era. Sure. We all know how much fun it was to rock out back then. And, you know, like I've said this before, you know, it seems like somebody walked up to you back then and said, okay, enough is enough. Wipe that stupid smile off your face. We're going to be depressed.
Right.
So I actually like the Seattle music scene myself. I'm a big Black Sabbath fan. So a lot of that to me was an extension of the Black Sabbath music. But great to have a new record out. And it's finally, I'm glad, you know, I've been writing a bunch over the years, you know, I mean, with, you know, Saliva and my band 714. And then I didn't do much writing, but I also played with my father-in-law. I played drums with Jimmy Jameson from Survivor. That was my father-in-law.
Sure.
So stayed busy with music, man. And, you know, having the new record out has given us life to get back together. Of course, Sid's not with us.
Right.
He opted out, and he's got a successful dentistry right now. And but we got Jeff Cobran in here, and he is. We finally have a 100% new ROXY BLUE. and just ready to get out for people to hear us live, and ready for everybody to hear this record that's coming out August 9th. We're super pumped, man.
No kidding, man. Well, let me ask you, Todd, just because you did mention Saliva, which obviously you did spend a few years with Saliva. Did that perspective of being in a not only a different band but a different styled musical band, did that help you as a writer and as an artist grow? Because it really forces you to step out of, quote unquote, the 80s rock scene, and you go into a more modern sound. It definitely makes you change the way that you do a lot of things. I mean, some of it will be the same. Obviously, you get up on stage with a microphone and you bring it, but the writing and the ability to create is very different. If you'd have gone to that band and written, like you did in 1992, you'd have been out on your ass, by 3 seconds after the first audition,
Well, yeah. Well, the deal is, so I actually started Saliva. So when Wayne and I started that band, we'd already been we've been playing together and writing. I was kind of writing different kind of stuff in some bands I was in. So when Saliva got together, it was different. I was the drummer in that band, and Josie did a lot of the lyric writing and pretty much, the majority of it. I was helpful in creating a lot of the music, and did come up with some of the lyrics, but I kind of took a back seat as far as not being the front man and not being that guy. And I wanted to do that. And that band was just magically happened the way it happened. But yes, it did influence me in a lot of ways. Mm-hmm. Because, man, I just didn't write that way I did back then. Me and Sid wrote most of Want Some. Right. So a lot of it did come from the way Sid played guitar. And I don't know that I tried to change. I just think life had a way of changing everybody. It has a way of changing people. And I just think that I evolved as a writer naturally. But all those influences like Saliva, in 714, I had a band called Screaming Jesus before Saliva. I just think that all of that, and plus all the influences of music. Right. And I'm a big 70s guy, so I like a lot of the older music. That's what I listen to. Sure. I think all of that just evolved for me to become, to maybe make what I've made today, which I think the Roxy sounds different than the 714 stuff. I almost had to do that. It's like I didn't want to make an extension of what I've done basically as a solo guy. Sure. And plus, I think and I always have to say this, I think one of the important things of the new Roxy record that is important to me is when Josh and Scotty T, bass and drums, were put on this record, they have some kind of chemistry between them, an unspoken chemistry, should I say, that they can just make it happen. And I think what they bring to the table, their delivery is very intense. And I think that enhances what the song becomes or what it started out to be. So, yeah.
Sure. Well, and you know what? And it shows if you listen to the new record. Like I was listening to it yesterday, and the one song that really jumps out at me as not typical, as an atypical to at least to the old sound, and actually to most of this record too, is the song "Scream," which has very different modernish type of a sound, especially at the beginning, and it has a classic type of a sound, but at the same time, it's a song that sounds like, it could play very well on modern rock radio today, and nobody would bat an eye and say, hey, that's a band that came from, the past era,
Well, yeah. And that's the one thing. we do have that stigma attached to us that we were a band from back in the day. And, that is, and I'm proud of what we did. I'm proud of that. I had a lot of fun. We all did.